Wannabe HoA tries to get a restraining order against my donkey and steal a neighbor's land. They started out as a utility improvement district, but have always acted like the usual HoA bullies. They no longer maintain any utilities, especially since they are dumping way beyond EPA levels of sewage into our lake. The sewage system and roads were the main jobs of the improvement district. Now they only manage a golf course and harass neighbors. They have screamed in the face of my terminally ill neighbor in front of her child, because her deck she had their permission to build to see the sunset for the last of her time was too big. She had to deal with moving during her pain. She is not the first to move away because of this acting HoA. A board member also tried to steal his neighbor's property by building on it without the owner's consent. They even laughed about this at public meetings. I stopped that by informing the owner. Now they're after my donkey. First they tried to threaten me with a lawsuit. Then they showed up at both of my replats, neither of which were about my donkey, and cried about how it would cost them legal expenses if the replat cleared. About how I was hurting their property value. The now head board member owns a rental across the street from my land. Editor's note. I didn't know what a replat was. Apparently it means a legal document that alters a recorded plat or map of a piece of land to make changes to lot lines, easements, or other aspects of the land. They talked at their meetings about how they want to make it illegal for women to be topless after I got the law here changed. They have now begun their discriminatory lawsuit. See, my donkey is an official assistance animal for my disabilities. I also have the county's approval for her to be here. My land met all the requirements even prior to the replat. The replat was for my shed, as they were informed repeatedly of at both replat hearings. The trial isn't until next April, so to try to get my donkey taken from me sooner, they asked the judge for a restraining order against my donkey. Their reasoning? She brays. How often do donkeys bray? Asked the judge. Their lawyer stumbled out the word periodically. She brays from my data a mean of 1.9, mode of 0, median of 1.5, and a range of 6 times a day. These last about 3 to 8 seconds each. In other words, almost never, and when she does, it is because she is happy to see me and the weather is nice. She won't bray if it has rained recently or is raining, if it is too windy, etc. Meanwhile, one of their bees stung me the other day. You don't see me trying to get a restraining order against their bees. I thought you all would get a laugh at their actions. Edit. Their actions are so foolish people think this is fake. It is not. Here is one example of them going on about my donkey and their property values at my first replat hearing.
Our property values will diminish due to the unsightly presence of livestock, manure smell, and donkey noise.
This is public information. I have more I can share if someone is interested in the story. Some people have said, but it's not an HoA. It essentially is, and these are just some things this HoA has done. 1. Board member screams in terminally ill mother's face after asking her child to measure the deck the board gave her permission to build and finding it 18 inches too big. 2. Actively has meetings to discuss who to go after for not mowing and who to go after. 3. Claims to care about property values. 4. Has covenants they wrote and filed. 5. Board members walk around the neighborhood looking for violations. Last edit in the spirit of FHOAs. My property is on the main road entering the neighborhood. You cannot enter without reading my big sign in the driveway that insults this place's board, calling it a giant pile of poop. It is a dad joke given the sewage dumping. OP in comments. When they asked for the restraining order they said, flies, and she brays. Almost word for word. I don't have the recording yet. The judge asked them how often she brays. Their lawyer went silent for a second, then spit out periodically. She is treated for fly prevention and all diseases. Her manure is not suitable for large growth. Our area is surrounded by a cattle farm. They drive UTVs around her far louder in volume and frequency of noise than her. Anyone can request a restraining order for any reason, doesn't mean it'll be granted. Tangential update, 1 month later. I own the first house entering the neighborhood. They're dumping stuff in our lake, so it is also an awareness sign with a dad joke. Most folks have to stop to turn where the sign is, too. They get a nice long look at it. These a-holes are dumping sewage in the lake, made me mow down my butterfly garden during the pandemic, are trying to make it illegal for me to be topless, and are trying to take my donkey from me. OP in comments, the donkey, her name is Carrot, is here legally for my disabilities. They have a covenant that says no chickens or livestock are allowed here, yet are not going after all the chicken owners and have even owned chickens here themselves. Their frivolous, discriminatory lawsuit should be a laugh when it ends. I own a house that was built before they existed. They're actually a sewage improvement district. I had no idea they would abuse power and harass people like an HOA. They keep writing covenants that the sewage board votes on. Obligatory, but it's not an HoA. We have gone over this. The mods of the subreddit understand and agree their behavior fits here. They might as well be an HOA. We are charged extra property tax and sewage rates rather than dues. Other than that, it is the same. The lawsuit has been hilarious so far. Painful, but funny. As for Carrot, she does bray, but far more rarely than any other donkey I have known. You can't hear her 1,500 feet away unless you are listening for it. There are far more days where she brays 0 times than more than 3 times, and it is always her in joy. She used to live 1,500 feet from my house, so there is no change of noise in the neighborhood. Lawnmowers, UTVs, dirt bikes, etc., are all common here and far louder. Donkey manure has nearly no smell, even less than a horse's, due to their diet and digestion. You'll only smell it if you yourself shovel it on a hot day. She also only poops in 4 designated spots that she chose, so it is easy and quick to maintain. It's funny. She is so smart. So she poops where, and only where, it isn't fun to walk, eat, sleep, or play. Then she piles it up, all ready to be scooped up. Update number 2, 20 days later. My donkey is safe from my wannabe HOA. Turns out going after a disabled person's assistance animal is illegal. Same with their alternative motives, discrimination, and a number of other things I look forward to sharing with you all when this is done. I have a wonderful attorney that is helping me. He has found many blatant issues with my local sewage improvement corporation acting like an HOA. They're very upset that I walk my donkey topless around the neighborhood and on their tax-paid $2 million golf course. If their actions bother anyone, you are welcome to show up at their next Zoom meeting or email them. Update number 3, 1.5 months later. One evil ex-board member is selling his house. This is the man who screamed in my terminally ill neighbor's face because her deck was 18 inches too big. A deck to see sunrises and sets for her time. She moved. He's also the one that, upon me stopping him from building on his neighbor's land without the owner knowing, harassed me greatly. The board's harassment has not stopped. Now they're trying to take my disability assistance animal from me. Thankfully, I have a countersuit. I can still smile knowing anyone who went to this ex-board member's open house has to drive by my sign. He has dropped the price by $40,000. He has another open house today. My sign is not meant as petty revenge but to raise awareness, but a little petty part of me is glad awareness of the corruption and harassment he started has cost him $40,000 so far. It won't make up for what he has done to me and my neighbors, but it is something. Other jerks are moving away, too. So far both of my closest neighbors have moved out or are selling.